Welcome back. I know it's been a little bit, right, since the three of us have joined forces here for the Odd Shop. So we appreciate you being with us. Lofty, Raza, Shander, Chris producing. You just hit the thumbs up button, subscribe. Don't worry, we'll remind you throughout. We have some free money for you at DraftKings. But fellas, as you see, it is a wacky Week 18 upon us. So happy New Year to both of you. And it's good to see both of your mugs together here, the three of us back. And I don't even know where to begin with this wild weekend. We have two games on Saturday. We have playoff spots. We have seedings. We have disappointments. We have draft picks. We have a ton of shit, Lofty, to start with on Week 18.
Yeah, man. And I hope you guys had a great New Year, everybody. Yeah. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Ben wasn't with us in Week 16.
No, I wasn't.
He was with us in Week 15. And I'll do it for him. He went 6-0 because Eytan and I had a pretty rough week.
Yes.
I went 4-0 in week 16. Gonna mention that.
Okay. There you go.
Then in week 17, we didn't do a show. But I tell you, man, when do you ever get a week outside of week 18 where one player can be ruled out or expected not to play, like Lamar Jackson, and not only move the line of that game, but move the line of another game as well, like the Chargers and Broncos? So because the Chargers need if the Ravens lose, the Chargers don't need to win. They've locked in the 5 seed. They get to face Houston or Tennessee. And then you've got the Vikings and you have Tampa, just to set the table here for everybody. That's one thing. You can also check my picks for every game video out. It's on here on the channel. I break it down every playoff scenario. But you got those two teams where they're saying, yeah, we're going to play them, right? They're essentially locked in. Vikings can get to 2, but they would need the Niners to lose. That seems unlikely. We're just scratching the surface here, Ben. There's a whole lot of moving parts for this week.
Yeah, I mean, the word of Week 18 to me is if. Because every game you say, well, if this happens, if this happens, I mean, that'll cause this. The if statements are immense because there are so many teams that have one eye on another team. And if that team wins, it changes it. It's got a preseason vibe a little bit where we're trying to gauge some motivation with some of these teams. But having said all that, at the same time, you got to remember, the books are just as confused as everybody else. The lines are not as efficient in Week 18. So there are opportunities for us to take advantage. And we're all here. We're together for the first time in a couple of weeks, feeling good. I'm actually really excited to dive into some of our plays and some of our segments, just given the wild situation of Week 18.
And I'll leave it on that before we dive into some smash spots here. If you thought the thinking and the craziness was at its peak leading up to the final, just you wait. And I think just from having the pre-show conversation, which is really just us throwing shit around that has nothing to do with the show anyway, that Lofty, that we have finally converted Lofty to the dark side of thought. So I'll leave it at that.
I got a narrative for you. I do.
I can't wait.
It's going to be fun. I got one, baby. It's going to shock the world. Talking smash spots, one of the best segments of the week, because when you get it wrong, you look like a dumbass. But I gotta go to the Vikings well here. And this is a weird, you want to talk about, Ben's talking about ifs. Here's an if. But Kevin O'Connell's out there saying, no, we're going to play the guys. Now, who knows if they play them the whole game? I certainly do not. They have a 1:00 game. This is another weird situation. It's like Chicago can get the number 1 overall seed, which they would certainly trade out of, right? Because they have Justin Fields. Then they get a massive haul, set them up for long-term success, unless they, figure out a way to squander that, which is entirely possible. That's if Houston wins, which Houston, like Lovie Smith's team, is going to go out there and try and win. I'm pretty confident about that. Yep. But sticking with the Vikings here, I don't know how much of this game they're going to play. I do think, based on what we've seen and what we've heard, and based on the 7.5-point spread, they at least play early. And if that's the case, give me Vikings -3.5 in the first half. I really like this spot this week a ton because you have Nathan Peterman starting, no Justin Fields. So it essentially completely cuts this Bears offense off at the knees. They had zero offense to speak of, no pass catchers. Nothing whatsoever outside of like Montgomery and Khalil Herbert, who are kind of neutered without the presence of Justin Fields. So if you've got the Minnesota starters even playing a half, give me -3.5 in the first half. I think they could come out there and truly just shit on them, and then O'Connell might pull the starters in the second half.
First half, I think, is a vital play this week. I love the strategy right there, Ben. I don't know your reaction to that, but targeting the first half in a situation where you could easily just look up and say, all right, it doesn't matter anymore, seems smart.
I mean, again, there's going to be a lot of things that I think are unique to week 18. Not that you can't bet first half throughout the year, but normally, particularly in the NFL, you're not worried about like, oh, this team is going to be up by so much and they're going to take the air out of the ball and I'm going to get backdoored. That just doesn't really happen in football to the degree that you would worry about it. But with something like this, Lafayette, I know this is what you're saying. You're talking about personnel changes during the game. And that's something that you just don't talk about normally. And I'm totally on board with what you did there. I'm going to dive right into mine, Eytan, unless you want to go.
Yes, sir.
All right. Here we go. This team, I'm telling you, I'm driving. I don't even want to be driving this bandwagon, but I am. The Pittsburgh Steelers are still alive. They are now 8-8. Quietly, they've won 5 of 6. 4 of those was on the road. Now they're back at home. They're a 2.5-point spread. I'm on Odd Chopper right now, shopping the line. You can find 2.5 everywhere. 2.5-point favorite against Cleveland. Cleveland, just don't even get me started with that team. Deshaun Watson obviously didn't make a big difference. If anything, he might have hurt their chances. Cleveland is useless. Pittsburgh has a lot to play for. I think Pickett is ahead of schedule. Najee is clearly not done. I know a lot of people, including me, said that they can never have an effective running game. And I still trust Pittsburgh's defense, and they're at home here. Inside a field goal in a game that they have a lot to play for, I think that the Steelers will answer the call. It doesn't mean they're going to make the playoffs, but 9-8 for them, given where they were sitting 2-6 on the year. Not a bad finish to the year. I expect Pittsburgh to finish in style. I will lay the 2.5 points this week.
And just yesterday it was at 3. So getting it at 2.5.
Yeah. I timed it nicely by accident, honestly.
Yeah.
I teased Cleveland when it was at 3.
Okay.
So there you go. I don't want to get too deep into it because we may have a deeper.
You would.
I look.
I might be the judge here coming up later.
I'm just
that's
saying.
going well. We'll recap. Don't even get me started. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, because sometimes you just have to create something for the show, right? So
yeah, I've been creating W's on my side of that segment, but that's neither here nor there.
You lucked into that Bears one. Don't even get me started. I know what Eytan was saying, and I agree with him entirely.
See, the judge has spoken, and I won. I love it. All right, let me hit you with my smash spot. It was at 7. I still think 6.5 is fine. 6 is okay, although know that you're starting to take less, not the total worst of it, but I don't know if it will drop to 6. I'll take the Titans in this game for 2 big reasons. One, I love what Mike Vrabel did, and it wasn't just sitting everybody. It was twofold, right? It was getting a guy like Josh Dobbs work, knowing that he is a guy you can rely on more than Malik Willis, and also calling up practice players. Like, this wasn't just backups. This was a movement of people, human beings that are no longer going to be on the team following that game, that meaningless game Thursday night. You have the majority of the Titans fully rested. You have the extra couple of days with Vrabel to work and that team to work with Dobbs. And look, Lawrence is the better quarterback without a doubt, but you have a situation now where all Dobbs needs to do is not screw it up. We know about that offense centered around Henry. It's a division matchup. 7 points was astronomical. I'll take 6.5, knowing that they have a little extra time. And I don't know if Doug Peterson's decision last week will backfire or not, but I do know that Mike Vrabel made the right one.
Yeah. I'm having a tough time because on one hand, and by the way, I leaned Titans in the video that I did yesterday as well. So I hear you, but it's a tough one for me because on one hand, the Jags are just rolling. Like they've won 4 straight. They're steamrolling teams right now. But on the other hand, like the obvious bet is kind of the Jags. And that's where I get away from, like, I don't think that they come in here and just trash the Titans in a divisional game that decides decides their fate getting into the postseason. I do kind of agree with you. 7 seems like a lot. The problem is though, like if it were 5.5, I mean, Jags are going to take all of the money, right? Like,
Yep.
I mean, if it drops, I don't think it's going to drop that low.
I don't either.
No,
I'm
it
okay
won't,
with 6.5.
It won't, but I'm saying like it was 6.5 yesterday. And I'm not saying that it would. There's no chance that it would drop to 5.5 whatsoever. I'm just saying I'm thinking of it from a perspective of at 7. I don't know if I like either team. What about you,
Really?
Ben? Where are you at on this one?
So this is where I actually kind of like, naturally, that's why I'm going to say it. I like what I did with this game. I agree with you, but to me, I see it a little differently. I think there's a lot of ways the Jaguars absolutely smoke them, but I went Tennessee money line potentially because you're getting over 2-1. You're almost getting 2.5 to 1. And to me, this is the kind of the game, the closer it is, I trust Vrabel and a team that's been there. If they don't have it, they don't have it. I'm not sure that 6 points, 8 points, 4 points is really going to matter. I think it's one of those type of games. I would rather up the variance if I'm going to take the Titans or lay the points if I was going to lay the points. So
I thought about that, Ben. The only, and maybe this is bias and maybe this is just personal and it clouded me by all means. The one variable that kept me from doing that was Peterson. Because you're right. Everybody else, this is brand new to Jacksonville. Peterson has been in some really unique situations as a head coach, and he's come out on top. So I don't give him the benefit of the doubt. That's why I took the points. But as you explain it, and I'm trying to explaining why I stayed away from it, I get what you're saying. This is the team that won the AFC last year, and Mike Vrabel does deserve a benefit, and this is a new team for Peterson.
Yeah. Eytan, you've done this before. I know we've talked about it, but I did this last week when I was talking about the Vikings-Packers game. Was I'm either betting the Vikings money line or just bet like an alt spread on the Packers, because the Vikings are one of those. All 4 of their losses have been by double digits. They've been crushed in all of their losses, but then they come in games that they're dogs in a lot of spots and they win it outright. Like, you just don't bet the Vikings as short dogs anymore on the spread. So maybe that is the place to attack. Would you guys consider, like Ben, would you consider a Jags alt spread in this game?
Yeah, again, because I think that if the Jags have it and Dobbs is ineffective, it could snowball badly. And on paper, it looks to me like Jacksonville's the better team, and that's why they're 6.5 point favorites. So there's like, if this game ended 38-10, like, would I really be shocked? No, not really, to be honest. But at the same time, plus 240 range, like
great value.
That's a lot to bank on a team that's been the best team of the South for quite some time now.
All right, Lofty, let's swing it back. What's your total?
Give me under 40.5 Browns Steelers. All day here. The Steelers play to really low scoring games all the time, almost every week. I mean, sure, at times you're going to get it where they don't, but last week, 29 total points, 23 the week before that, 40, 36, 35, a lot of low scoring games. They don't score a lot of points. They're one of the lowest scoring teams in the league. Their offense has played better recently. And I know that Deshaun Watson threw, 3 touchdown passes last week, but it was 18 pass attempts and he completed 9 of them. He still hasn't done anything to show me that he's been stellar yet. So I think and it's a divisional game. It's a divisional game in the AFC North. These almost always play very low scoring, especially in these type of spots. I'd be surprised if either of these teams really opened it up. Give me under 40.5 in Pittsburgh.
So I love the play, and I'm just curious, and I'm going to ask you and Ben specifically as well here, mainly because you're the only 2 people I can ask right now. But 41 is such a key number. Does it make sense buying that extra half point and going under 41?
Well, I've been on the screen this whole time you were talking, so I guess I will answer that question.
Both of you, but yeah, I'm responding to you first and then to Ben. No, I
know. Chris didn't take me off the screen. So I was just waiting to see if I'd come off, and I completely missed your whole question. So let's hear what Ben has to say first.
So when you talk about buying points with totals, Jen, I think the easiest thing to say is no, I wouldn't do that. Just because you end up paying more for the half point than it's worth. So it's absolutely a key number. Certainly these lower scoring games, the value of every point is much higher or much more important than a game with an 80 point total in college football, something like that. But I still think more often than not, you roll the dice with the best price. So I would say, no, I see where you're going. I think it's a worthwhile question, but no, I still wouldn't buy onto a key number with a total.
There you go. All right. What's yours, brother?
So for me, I mean, again, I could spend a lot of time talking about crazy shit that happened to me during Christmas and all that nonsense. The one thing I was able to catch was Hard Knocks. And I just feel bad for the Cardinals having to be on that show because they are beyond broken right now in every potential way that you could be broken as a football team.
Wait, is that the in-season Hard
Yeah,
Knocks?
the in-season. And it's
I haven't seen that. That sounds horrible.
It's as bad as it sounds.
It's Cliff Kingsbury just saying, we've got, and then he just lowers it by one after each game, X amount of opportunities, and we just got to get one. And now he's saying, we've got one more opportunity. We just got to get one because they can't win, and they have no idea what's going on. And they have started David Blau, Trace McSorley, Colt McCoy, guys I didn't even know were on the team. Hopkins isn't like a long way of saying under 39.5 points against the Niners, because after the Niners got out of Dodge and escaped against Stidham, they're not going to be messing around. And I don't know how the Cardinals even score, to be honest. And yes, maybe the Niners hang 40 on their own, and I'll live with that. This screams to me one team scores under 10. The Niners keep it respectable. They gear down. They got bigger things to worry about than the Cardinals. This is just like an ugly 24-10 type game in my mind.
Yeah, 13.5 point total for the Cardinals this week.
I like the under on that. I really do.
Yeah. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if they're shut out in the first half. San Francisco, and this is where you'd have to act fast, but that's where San Francisco starts to sit guys, and maybe you have a live betting opportunity with whoever the fuck it is for Arizona to score that 7 points, possibly even 10.
They're on their fourth string quarterback. It's amazing.
David Blau.
Yeah,
right?
man. Yeah.
And he was all right. It's a team
come
that.
on. Yeah, how about that Arizona
What do you
squad
got,
last
Eytan?
week? Oh, I'm sorry, Ben.
No,
I said, what do you
I've
got?
said enough.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, who are you going with?
This one's easy for me. There's a realistic possibility these two teams are going to face each other in the playoffs, the Eagles, the Giants. I mean, look, there's a really good spot, I think, for the Giants multiple times over. Yeah, they're sitting everybody. Who cares? They win this game. Brian Daboll, without a doubt, is coach of the year. They have Tyrod Taylor, who is still playing for work. And on top of that, they can hand the Eagles a devastating loss if, in fact, other stuff works in their favor. So there is a little bit of motivation there. But ultimately, look, Philadelphia, the better team. Neither one of these teams is going to do anything. Like, it doesn't serve Philadelphia to blow out the Giants. And it certainly is not going to happen where the Giants are going to blow out Philadelphia. So I'm going to go under 43 in this game.
I like that. I have a
no
question
issue with
for
that.
you, though. Do you think there's any possibility that, like, Nick Sirianni and company go, we just simply can't take any chances, and they get the score up as high as they can?
Yeah, so I think the difference between running the score up and a scoring gap is going to be, for me, like, you can put up 20 points and be up 20-3 and sit guys in a game that you're totally in control.
Sure.
So, and maybe it's like 24-3 or something like that, right? To be a little bit more comfortable. So do you think there's any way that Daboll starts plays the starters? I do, in the sense of, like, I think it's a small possible, but here's the thing. Like, I think offensive linemen are going to be out there. I think some guys on D are going to be out there, right? Like, this isn't a Tennessee Titans practice squad scenario. I think the guys, look, if they lose and Doug Peterson wins the AFC South, I think there's a realistic chance that Peterson wins coach of the year. I don't think it's just handed to Daboll right now. So there's some stuff around this game, fellas, that I'm just not willing to say is an automatic smash for the Eagles. And that's why and look, they're going to play each other. They're probably going to play each other again, right, in the playoffs. So, or at least a chance, a possibility. So that's all I'm saying. All right, free money alert, right? Siren should be going off here. We're giving you free money, $5 into $200 in free bets on DraftKings. So for whatever reason, maybe you're in Ohio, a state that's still new to legalize gambling, or maybe you're just on another book for whatever reason. I'm not touching DraftKings, and all these reasons why you want something. That could be it too, where you're not going to get up off your ass until we give you something. I'm the same way. So I'm not judging. I'm just saying that you have company here. Look, $5 into $200 in free bets. It's going to take 90 seconds out of your life to click the link below. It's going to bring you to DK, fill out a couple of pieces of information, log in, connect an account, could be a bank account, PayPal, what have you, deposit $5 and only $5, because that's all you're going to need. and immediately place that on the Tennessee Titans, that $5 wager on the Tennessee Titans. Just don't waste any time. Immediately do that, and you'll see $200 right back into your account. That's free money. That's a bankroll. You can come hang with us on the Discord. You can take advantage of other models and things we have, advantages that across the board from Odd Shopper to Stochastic. So we want you to have free money first and foremost at DraftKings. Click that link below. All right, so I believe that I am winless. Was it 0-2 against Ben? It should be 0-1 with an asterisk. And somehow Lofty has weaseled his way back into the judgment seat.
It just happens that way, man.
I'm never the judge, ever.
Well, hold on a second.
You were the judge one time.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, is that right?
You were.
You don't even know what's going on.
Ben went against me. Listen, the judge still takes some share of the blame and praise in this regard if I get something right? Like I still have to pick a side.
Very true. Very true. Your reputation is at stake.
Exactly.
Don't try to suck up to the judge.
Look, that doesn't work.
Good point.
I've tried. I'm 0-2. So what does it count, right? All right, let's jump into this. Cleveland is at Pittsburgh. I guess I'll go first since I'm on the road side. You mentioned Deshaun Watson, the struggles. They have it up until last week, Ben. They actually have been worse off with Deshaun in a couple of key metrics, all surrounding on offense. But last week, maybe it was just Washington and Ron Rivera / Carson Wentz's ineptitude, but you saw 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, just a little bit of an easy win. Now, this is where I think Cleveland falls into the true spoiler mode, unlike the Jets even or the Bears, Texans type situation where you're at the bottom or just deflated. Cleveland is still good enough to matter in this football game. Their season's over. They're not playing for anything. They're not improving their draft position significantly or vying for the number 1 spot. This is really it. There's a head coach who's fighting for his job. I don't think it's official right now about Stefanski. And look, this is really the last opportunity to end on a good note. And I know normally that means jack shit in the NFL. But in this case, when you've brought a quarterback in like quasi midseason, ending this way and handing a loss to, of all people, Mike Tomlin and the Steelers, all I'm saying is this isn't the Jets. This isn't the Bears. This isn't any other spot. This isn't even the Rams, which I know Lofty's just salivating over. This is the true spoiler spot on the board. And I think Cleveland wins this game outright. Oh, by the way, do you guys know how many games Kenny Pickett has with more than 1 passing touchdown this year?
0.
Thank you. He's on. Okay. I rest my case.
He doesn't need it. What do you want him to win the game twice? They've won 5 of 6. He's doing just fine without throwing any touchdowns because they have a competent defense, because they know what they're doing. They're playing at home. Again, they've won 5 of 6 games. You already made my argument. I wanted to say this, but you literally answered your own question because you know it's true. What happened last week? They played a guy who didn't even know that his team could get eliminated if they lost in Washington and Ron Rivera. They have no idea what's going on. That win means nothing. The week before that, they played the Saints, who were lifeless at home, and Cleveland couldn't even get past them. They put up a whopping 10 points. I look at Pittsburgh, the way they're structured. Najee's running good. Pickett isn't throwing touchdowns, so he's not making mistakes. Pittsburgh's rush defense, 4.1 yards allowed per rush, top 5 in the league, first in opponent rushing per TDs per games. If they slow down Chubb and they make Watson and Cooper beat them, I will gladly take my chances. Inside 3 points at 2.5, minus 110. More to play for, at home, playing better. I really think Pittsburgh just rolls them. Not in a game where they hang 40 points, but they're just in control of this game. Najee does enough. Watson does nothing. Cleveland ends how they always end, which is a disappointing season in Cleveland.
New Orleans, like 7 straight games where they're holding teams to like 10 points or less, but you want to bring that up.
And it was like minus 400 degrees.
Yeah, come on.
Minus 400 hurricane force winds. Yeah, Ben can ignore that one. Yeah.
What do you mean? You can't handle a dome team in the cold? Like, give me a break. New Orleans comes into the freezing tundra and they beat you. Like,
hey, New Orleans was just here in Philly. It was kind of cold that day too.
Negative. I would know. I had no electricity. It was cold, and New Orleans has no issues apparently.
New Orleans beat Philly. Yeah.
All right. Where's the ruling?
As the judge, I'm 1-1. I have exonerated someone and I've sent an innocent man to the electric chair. So We're going with Eytan Shander here.
Wow, this is unexpected.
It makes me uncomfortable because usually when Ben has spots that he's really confident in, and the Steelers have been good to him this year, I don't feel right going against this. But I don't think the Steelers are good, and I don't think they're a playoff team either. Now, they probably don't make the playoffs. When you look at the games that they've won this season, everything they win is by one possession. Now, of course, would have liked Cleveland a whole lot more if we still got that 3. The 2.5, like, I'm not betting 2.5, but if I have to side here, I don't love the Steelers. You know, they win every game by a couple of points. That's the type of team they are. And they don't score points either. The Bears run defense, or sorry, the Browns run defense is not good, but and Naj, like the Steelers have struggled to generate really anything significant on the ground all season long, even though Najee looks better lately. And the Cleveland secondary has been a lot better. I hear you, Ben. Ron Rivera didn't even know they could be eliminated last week, but it wasn't just that. It was the fact that as bad, listen, as bad as Carson Wentz is, this Cleveland defense has kept them in games just as much as Pittsburgh's defense has kept them in games. I like the spoiler approach here. I don't think either of these teams are any good right now. I'm going to go with the Browns on the road to send Pittsburgh packing down south for the winner.
All right. This is slowly to then rapidly become people's favorite segment of the week from a torture standpoint. I think they just like to see Ben's face, and now Lofty, who I'm waiting to get to from a live dog standpoint, because I think there's going to be a little bit in this here. And I'm just, it's like a child. It's like watching your child take their first step.
Coming up next.
All right, here we go. I figured I'd warp. This is not the crazy stat of the week, but this is a very fascinating stat that I think actually is more about looking back, because it's hard to predict each week. It's more about looking back and maybe just helping you try to understand who the Kansas City Chiefs are. So this is not the crazy stat, but this is just a little appetizer, top of a small plate here for you, right? Since winning the Super Bowl, what is it? LIV is what, 54, right? The Kansas City Chiefs are 2-27-1 against the spread in one-score games, including 0-18-1 against the spread versus avenging teams, like teams they already beat earlier in the year in division. So just something to think about. The Chiefs are not good against the spread in one-score games, yet I bet their record is significantly better than that, right?
Okay. Now listen, normally I just nod and I get through the segment, but that actually doesn't make any sense. I hate to be that guy, but just think about this. The Chiefs are, of course, in one-score games, they don't cover because they're usually like 9 or 10-point favorites.
Yes, absolutely.
So they can't cover.
Well,
that's cover in one-score games. It's impossible.
Okay, but here's the thing. That's why you say it at a party with a bunch of casuals. You don't say it in a group, trick. In a sharp like Discord. No, I'm giving this shit out for casuals. I'm not giving this out for you to go back and regurgitate it to Alex Baker so he can turn around and be like, what the hell's wrong with you?
So essentially what you're saying is they don't cover in games that they don't cover.
Right. That's exactly what, right. So I'm just warming you up. All right. That's
they
like
are
stretching.
Eytan, they are 1-7-1 against the spread since November, though.
It's amazing. It is amazing. And what is the record, though, in that stretch?
Oh, yeah, they're winning games.
Exactly. All right.
I think they roll the Raiders this week. I think Jarrett Stidham was a flash in the pan last week.
It's hard to keep that shit up week in and week out. All right, here is the stat. This trend since 1990 is 15-2. All right, 15-2. That's an 88% win percentage since 1990.
And 17. Let's preface this: 17 times in 32 years. Go ahead.
Correct. It's happened 17 times in 32 years, and it's 88% of a hit. Any NFL division home dog in its final game of the season, if they were a playoff team last year and they are seeking revenge from an opponent that's .600 or better. Do you know who this team is?
Seeking revenge from a team who is
the Jaguars.
That's
No,
a
no, I'm going to say, oh, that's a
Wait.
divisional game. They're all divisional games this week.
Wait.
Right.
Wait.
right. If they were a playoff team last year,
Is it the Ram? No, the Rams are on the road.
Jags weren't a playoff team last year.
But it has to be a home dog, right?
Yes, any NFL division home dog in its final. I can't give you a hint because it would just give it away. But
no. It's all right.
You also have neither one of you have any short-term memory. That's clear.
Yeah, you're not right. I just had COVID. Cut me a break.
We just talked about these two teams. It's the Raiders.
Oh, well, that's the trick question.
The Raiders.
I don't even remember them making the playoffs.
I was going to say, I forgot
shot.
they were in the playoffs.
Remember, it was the Chargers. Wasn't that it was the Raiders-Chargers game, right?
Couldn't be the Chargers because
last year that screwed everybody up is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, and they thought they were going to tie.
Yeah, exactly.
When they weren't when they was telling them not to kick because if they tied, it would eliminate.
That was one of the dumber.
Yeah, I remember that. That was crazy. Yeah. Okay.
So you take now those two, don't they correlate here? We're dealing with a double digit. I'm just saying, if you're dealing with a double digit spread with the Raiders, which you're, 9.5, but if that hits 10, you got a little something there. There you go. Crazy stuff. Well, this will only ramp up even more when we hit the playoffs.
All right. We talked about some of these teams earlier. Live dog time here. And I alluded to this earlier in the show. I want to go back to the big time game in the South, Titans and Jags. And I know when we do this, trying to find a live dog, we know that most likely they aren't going to win. But if they do, can we get that big payout? I'm talking plus 240 here range for the Titans. And I just think that's too much. I totally acknowledge your boy, your former coach leading the Jaguars. The guy knows what he's doing. They look great. Lawrence have taken the next step. I'm not going to make a huge case for Tennessee personnel wise, or even how they look, because they don't look good. I'm just going to simply say that Mike Vrabel and this team has experience in big games. They had a vision more than the Jaguars of we're going to dump last week. It doesn't matter. This is the game we need to focus on. And I'm getting north of 2-1. I like those odds. I like those chances in a divisional game. Both teams have to have it. It's the type of game I like to roll the dice on, because if you get it right, you get a big time payout. And there are a lot of unknowns with Jacksonville. As good as they look, it's still Jacksonville. So give me the Titans money line as my live dog this week.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Always.
What do you think of the under in this game then? Because it feels like if they end up winning this game, it's very unlikely that it's going to be in a shootout unless Derrick Henry has the game of his career.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. The lower scoring games, more variance. You always want the odds. Like, weird stuff happens when there's only 25 total points in a game. If you give me that, give me north of 2-1. So I have no problem with the under if you think that. In fact, I think the under certainly correlates to Tennessee.
Me too. And especially because I think all of us agree that if it goes the other way, Jacksonville could.
It's out of hand.
Oh yeah.
All right, Eytan, are you ready?
But honestly, real quick, Luffy, to that point, I still think you can stay under in a route. I still think Tennessee would be offensively challenged enough.
Totally agree.
So I even if Jacksonville runs away with this, I think you can be covered in that under.
That's why I love unders in games like this, because it could be like 30-7.
Absolutely.
Or it could be 17-14.
Yep.
Tennessee. Yeah.
All right. I have chills. I have to be honest. I have chills right now waiting for this.
All right. It's not a wild statistical thing going back before the Great Depression. It is, however, I'm getting into the mind of Eytan Shander here. Okay.
Maybe that's what we should call the segment.
We should, we should. Yeah. Hopefully I can get out, but I'm in it right now. I'm committed. And shout out to Mike Lawrence on one of my shows earlier for kind of putting my mind on this train of thought. And he was talking about I would mention how it sucks that if the Seahawks win, then the Lions in the last game of the regular season have nothing to play for, right? This is a Lions team. Hard Knocks. Everyone fell in love with this team. I'm a Dan Campbell guy. Love the guy. But everyone's rooting for the Lions. They've been trashed for so long. They made an amazing run. Came back from a 1-6 start. Oh, my God. And then on the other side, the villain of the NFL. It's Aaron Rodgers, all that shit that happened with him during COVID. And everyone was spewing vitriolic hate towards him. And now they all hate him. But it's still a Packers team that was in the basement too. There was no chance they were making the playoffs. How sick would it be if we get a meaningful Sunday night game between the darlings of the league and the Lions right now, and then you get the Packers on the other side, and whoever wins it makes the postseason? Well, that can only happen, Eytan, if the Seattle Seahawks lose earlier in the day. And man, we know at its roots, this is an entertainment industry.
Yeah.
And just maybe there's some PI calls that go in the direction of the Rams. Just maybe there's some offensive holding calls that set Seattle up at 1st and 30 at their own 10. Just maybe the Rams come in and say, you know what? We shit the bed this year after winning the Super Bowl. We're knocking your asses out here and sending you packing.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I think you're appealing to the conspiracy theory. And look, don't let Raza fool you. He's a major conspiracy theorist as well. Although those aren't conspiracies.
Yeah, they're just true.
Exactly right.
You should hear his takes on the moon landing.
Oh yeah. It was in a back studio somewhere outside of
Not a lie if you believe it.
Exactly right. Okay. I actually applied a lot of that same mentality, if we can call it that.
Yes, of course you do.
But
you don't say.
Here's where I fell short. I believe, and the line's already dropped, but I believe where people are going to get burned is not necessarily the loss, but the spread. So I think LA, anything really in this game north of 5, if really down to 4, is live in this game because of that. Like this is a last second game. This is but ultimately I don't think Seattle loses the game, but I don't think they cover anything north of a point, to be honest. And I wouldn't lay anything north of a point. So I teased them down. Let me give you a couple of things on Baker Mayfield real quick. He's 0-4 straight up against the spread, playing on the west of Denver, anywhere west of Denver. He's 8-19-1 against the spread versus teams that finish the season with a winning record. Now, this is where I think it gets a little dicey. If you think the Rams, who have the defense healthy at least, if you think they can get at least 2 turnovers, then I would take the Rams outright. He is 20-6 straight up, 16-9-1 against the spread in the regular season when his defense adds 2 or more turnovers. When he doesn't, he's 9-33-1 against the spread. Now, a lot of bad teams, etc., but you're asking him to not screw it up versus win a game. So if you think the Rams can turn Geno over twice, I think you're onto something. I just don't.
It's fair.
But I love it. Like outside of the Titans, and I guess selfishly mine, I hate to say it, but I think this is where the best value is because I think a lot of people have already put the Seahawks in the win column.
I agree. But how sick would it be to see a Lions Packers game Sunday night that's meaningful? It's going to be a colossal disappointment if it isn't. But you know what? I still think even if the Lions aren't in contention, if they're out, Dan Campbell, the type of guy he is, he's going to talk. He's going to tell him, he's like, you think we're going out there and embarrassing ourselves to close out the season when we can finish above 500? Like, I don't think they just lie down, even if they're out of it either.
No, but it's not fair though. It's not fair. Like you shouldn't flex one of those games. It's just not fair.
It's not fair. You're saying it's not fair if you're Seattle in that case, it's not fair.
It's just, I don't care who you are mentally. If you know what happened, it doesn't help the situation.
For sure. But I'm saying also Seattle needs the Packers to lose. So like, let's say Dan Campbell doesn't, I don't think the league's going to, maybe I'm going too far, but like,
no, I think you're onto something. Like if they can't control one game, they will control the other game.
Is that crazy of a thought?
No.
The league be like, listen, don't sit all of your starters on Sunday Night Football.
They're not going to sit them. But again, it's just,
Look,
It's still different.
the referees control so much. You get a holding call, you get a pass interference call, you get a fumble that's reviewed. How many times have you sat there and a call has been reversed, but you know it's the right call and they reversed it? And then we see this slack from Raza on the Division III college basketball game that he lost, but because the call was reversed, but it should never have been reversed. That happens in the NFL every week.
I mean,
All right,
those
the league
refs,
is
don't get
rigged,
me
end of
started on
show.
college basketball.
All right.
By the way, no one's saying the league is rigged. But
Oh,
No,
I-
Eytan, one of us is saying
But look,
that.
I'm going to make, here's the thing. This is a great segue because I believe the league is rigged, but that doesn't stop me from betting on it, right? Like
Smart.
my number one theory about betting the NFL is they could come out tomorrow and say everything is manufactured, controlled, and organized like World Wrestling, and nothing would change. In fact, I think the betting would actually increase because people would think they have some sort of knowledge of how the script is. All of that said, look,
that's not a crazy point. I see it for week 18. I totally get that.
Hey, all I'm saying is this, and Ben actually made the point that was surrounding the greater issue of whether or not things are controlled or not. It's what happens when you know your season, your week, your goal is done. Look, the Buffalo Bills right now are in a really difficult spot. And I think what makes it so complex is that this week, I'm predicating on Kansas City beating the Raiders. If Kansas City beats the Raiders Saturday night, which we all believe they will, right? Like, forget the spread, just come out and win that game. Then this game for Buffalo truly is meaningless. You don't have the shot at the number one seed. Now, add the fact that it's a key number at 7. Okay, let's compound this. Buffalo is saving up all of the win one for the Gipper. Let's get this for our guy for the playoffs. It does them no good to start guys. It does them no good to say, let's go out and do this for our boy right now. All of that is the following week. This is probably one of the rare opportunities you can get to truly fade a football team because they are zapped emotionally and they are zapped mentally and they're zapped spiritually. So I'll take the Patriots only if Kansas City wins Saturday night.
Okay. But we still don't know what's going on with that Bills game.
This is based on the assumption that game is canceled.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yes. If that's the case, then yeah, it doesn't matter because Bills win out, assuming like they somehow
would
resume that game.
control.
They're in the 1 seed.
It looks as if the time in which we're recording this and doing this, there's no plan to play that football game. They should have played it on Tuesday. They're not going to do that clearly. So I don't know when they're going to play this game.
I got you.
So
and the Patriots have something to play for.
Absolutely. So I'll take them live. Look, I'll take them +7, but I'll take them as a live dog. If the game is canceled, which I believe it will remain canceled, and the Kansas City Chiefs win, in fact, I'll give you this. I think there's a decent correlation parlay, and Ben can correct me if I'm wrong, to take the Kansas City Chiefs on the money line and the Patriots ahead of time +7. I did the math. That's at about +134.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly know what you're saying. It's obviously these are like, it's just an unprecedented situation, but there's no doubt that if they don't make up that game, the Bills from a football standpoint have nothing to gain seed wise. So that would change, and you will see that money line really come down if that in fact does happen for sure.
Oh, no doubt. No question at all. Yeah.
All right, prop party. I know you're all waiting for the player props. Each and every week you see the prop party. Come on, get us to the player props. Don't worry, we got you. We've been on a nice little roll here. Even on down weeks, it seems like we're hitting player props. So pay attention. Let me start. Go back to that Saturday night game with the Titans and the Jags. I think Derrick Henry over 14.5 receiving yards is live throughout here. He is going to be involved. And even if they're up, he's going to be involved to get the ball out fast. I know that he's going to be relied upon on the ground, but Josh Dobbs is not going to be dropping back and throwing 40, 50 yards down the field routinely. There is going to be a concerted effort to get the ball in Derrick Henry's hands, especially third and mid to even a little third and long. So I love Derrick Henry just being involved, even more so in the passing game without a guy like Ryan Tannehill when he was already involved in the passing game.
I like that. My one concern is that Ryan Tannehill targeted Henry a lot in the passing game because he he could scramble here and there, typically like inside the 10, right?
Yep.
But Malik Willis and Josh Dobbs are two guys that they're forced to use their legs because they're not good passers. I do think, though, that just given their lack of pass catching options, that you should see some opportunities there. Dobbs did target Haskins 3 times last week, so that's good. Targeted Chestnut once, and Henry's very much capable of breaking off one big one. I just have been a little bit skeptical when it comes to Malik Willis and Joshua Dobbs, just because of their lack of participation when it comes to throwing to running backs. But 14.5 is still a very low number.
Look, and let me add this caveat. If Malik Willis is starting this football game, I'm not playing this prop.
Because He's not. But
no, but I know he's not. I know he's not. But that's the caveat.
Oh, you're saying like if he were
right.
I got you.
If he were to start, which I know the fact that it's a better, like this is a veteran quarterback in Josh Dobbs. This is a guy who's been in multiple systems. This is a guy who understands how to hit a safety or at least target an option if he's not the safety valve in the running back. Malik Willis is so green and so new to just NFL offenses that you're right, Lofty. That's way too volatile. So the caveat is that it was Dobbs, and that's why I started. That's all.
No, I get it. 14.5 is a low number. I get it for sure.
Who you got?
This may surprise you. I'm going Travis Etienne under 86.5 rushing plus receiving because the Titans do not give up big rushing games at all. They just don't. The last time any rusher, like individual rusher, had more than, 60 yards against them this year was week 1 against Saquon Barkley. That's the last time, September 11th. And while Travis Etienne has seen some involvement in the passing game recently, he still has not seen more than 3 targets in a game since week 7. So I think this is one of those spots where if the Jags come out and beat him, I actually don't think it'll be with Travis Etienne. I think it'll have to be through the air. We saw the Eagles do that, right? Eytan, we saw the Eagles do that. Miles Sanders was a ghost in that game. And of course, it makes sense. Why would he not be? Anytime the Titans come out here and they get stomped, it's usually because they fall apart in the passing game and not on the ground. So yes, it's 86 rush. You could take the under 76. I actually think I prefer under 76.5 rushing yards for Etienne. That, you know what? Let me call an audible there.
Not the first time we've done this on the show.
I like that better too.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that makes even more sense because maybe they use him as a safety valve. I think 76.5 rushing against this defense. We've seen it all literally for 16 straight weeks. Very, very tough to accomplish. They have Jeffrey Simmons back. That defensive line, a lot of them rested. They're now fully healthy, ready to go. They are the best run stuffing defense in the league and maybe the most pass funnel defense as well.
Anything, Ben? Or you want to just take on yours?
No, I mean, I think you made an adjustment that I wanted to ask you about already kind of on the fly there in terms of rushing and receiving because to me, and you never say never, but if you told me that ETN had a 40-yard play in the game, I'd say there's a better chance it's a catch. It's a screen pass.
I think so for sure.
And
that's why I made the pivot. That's why
you're eliminating that. So
those are more volatile too. Those, like we see Derrick Henry do it all the time. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah,
but couldn't you see that too? Like 58 yards rushing, and yet he breaks a 40-yard pass, and you're like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm going to lose this under 86.5 because 2 guys missed a tackle downfield. Like he's not getting over that rushing yards. I love that.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure. Mine is. This is a guy, and you're going to have to shop this. Some of the books are off the board, and there's a vast spread on Aaron Jones to find the end zone. I see minus 200 out there, and I see minus 130 out there, just to kind of show you what I'm dealing with. But Aaron Jones is a guy for the Packers. He's been hurt, and they seem to have a plan. And against Miami, it was, we're going to conserve you. 6 carries for 25 yards. He tweaked that ankle. He comes back and got to have a game against Minnesota in week 17, 14 for $111 and another pair of receptions. Didn't seem to get any more injured. He's practicing in limited capacity. If anything, it seems like they're primed him to really carry the load in a gotta have it game against Detroit, who can't stop anybody. I think only thing that I'm concerned about is the volume. That seems mitigated. They've done a great job with Aaron Jones to get him to this point and get him ready for a must-win game. I think he's going to have a ton of opportunities to score here. If you think that Green Bay wins, and I do, Aaron Jones would be at the top of the list of guys I think finds the end zone. I expect 20 total touches, and I do expect a touchdown.
I like that. He's got to get out there and be as dominant as possible, because as nice as AJ Dillon is, as like a, not even a plotting back, but just kind of a bruiser, Aaron Jones in a must-win game, it would be shocking to me if Matt LaFleur doesn't give him as many opportunities as he can.
He's going to. And we saw it against Minnesota. He changes the entire offense. They are extremely more dynamic when he is out there. Dillon's a fine player, but you kind of know what you're getting. When he's out there catching balls, running, and they're mixing it up, they look like the Packers. And I still don't think, I'm not going to get into a long monologue. I think they're going to get dusted if they make the playoffs. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about one game at home against Detroit here.
Absolutely. And correction, by the way, I meant 67 and a half rushing yards for Eytan. Doesn't matter to me. Titans
still a good number.
Titans still haven't allowed. Yeah, I didn't mean 7. I misspoke. Titans
that would have been a really nice number, though.
What?
That would have been a really nice number.
But it still fits. It still fits under the stat.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It still fits, man. They still haven't allowed that. You can go look at what they've allowed on the ground. Like under 67 is, yeah. I'm still there. Just for anyone that needs clarification on that.
Winding down here, let's build a parlay, 3-leg parlay. It's a Jenga piece here. And if you ever played the game, you know that somebody's going to screw up, right? Can you actually win at Jenga? Like, can you, or is it ultimately somebody's going to pull the last piece?
Right. Can you only lose?
Yeah, because in this, Ben, this was your idea, so I'm asking you.
It's a cool segment. I think it's
a great segment. I just was curious because I was setting it up, and I was like, wait a second.
Like, in theory, couldn't you just remove all the pieces?
Yes, I guess you're right. You could keep going and going and going, and that's essentially what we're trying to do: is hit a 3-leg parlay with 3 legs.
No, you can't. Can you?
Why not?
Yeah, I think you can. I think you just ultimately take out all the pieces. I don't know. Somebody needs to, Chris, who is doing.
You play until somebody loses. Like you can't.
Are you Googling this right now?
Nothing.
I'm going to Google it.
Yeah, Google it. By the way, why not just like eliminate each person after the Jenga tower falls and then have a winner at the end?
The game ends when the tower falls completely, or if any block falls from the tower. The loser is the person who made the tower fall.
Right. So like the wise move would be to eliminate them, set it back up, and then last person standing, right?
True.
But can you actually, I don't think that's possible.
No, it's the last it's down to 2 people, and which of the last 2 does not screw up wins.
That's what
Yeah.
But Ben's saying you could whittle it down to nothing.
Well, I was just wondering.
No, you can't. The physics of the game will not allow it. Yes. All right, so we've essentially taken up one person's time in this explaining the I'll fall on the grenade here because we already talked about this game. And I know, Lofty, you're on the other side as far as a live dog is concerned. All I need is the money line. That's it. I'm not screwing around, messing, tempting anything. Seahawks money line. I'll throw it to you, brother.
No, look, obviously I think that's the right play. I don't think they cover the 6.5 or 7.
Neither do I. Neither do I.
But I still think, like, when we do live dogs, it's not like, obviously we're not projecting them to win, because if we were, we would be probably be doing something wrong. Like if you're looking at, plus 250 and going, no, they should win this game. I'm telling you that, that doesn't make sense. Give me the Bengals though, man. With Tyler Huntley likely to start again, does anyone have any confidence in this Bengals offense at all? They cannot score points. They're going up against one of the most high-powered offenses in the league.
Yep.
Did I say I meant Ravens?
No, you're right. You're right.
Ravens. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Right.
Like the Ravens can't score. Bengals can score, and they have a good defense. They should put them to sleep pretty early.
I'll round it out with another game we just talked about, and it's an extension of Eytan. You're going to see a lot of people across the industry say this, and I get it. If the Seahawks win, got to like the Packers even more. I don't care what you say about the Lions. They can't help. There's no way it helps the Lions. And I thought Green Bay was going to win already. They're at home. They do look like they figured some things out. Aaron Jones, Dylan. These receivers are only getting better. And it's still the Lions who have made strides, but I think we'd all acknowledge they've made strides at home mostly. They haven't been great outdoors. We saw Carolina just a couple weeks ago really expose them on the ground. To win the game when you have to have it in Lambeau, I mean, I find it hard to believe that Green Bay won't be able to win the game. Covering's another issue, but in a Jenga parlay like this to round it out, give me the Packers money line.
Dude, it's Aaron Rodgers. He's healthy. That thumb is fixed, and he's not Tom Brady. He doesn't look like he doesn't know how to play football anymore. Sign me up. By the way, Seahawks.
Brady last week figured something out.
Oh, it's one time. Come on. He's
him and Mike Evans.
He's 2-11-1 against this. And it took Steve Wilkes pussing out, and can you say that, and kicking a field goal when he should have gone for a touchdown first. Sorry.
No, that's oh my God. I wish we had more time in the show. That was the only smart thing they did. That's a genius move. Always kick immediately.
I hate everything about what you just said.
No, that guy, first of all, monetarily, that saved me a lot of money. I really needed them to do it that way.
I did not. So therefore, I'm on opposite ends. All right.
I respect
that. Gets us to plus 164 with the money line parlay.
I love it. That's a full unit. Let's do it.
All right, boys. This sounds crazy, but I think the Texans win this game, even though they shouldn't, as we rapid fire our way out of week 18 and out of the regular season. Lovie Smith's not dicking around. Like this guy, he said, we're playing. And I firmly believe him. Like I really do believe him. If they lose or if they win and Chicago loses, Chicago gets the ones. It would not be wise. And like, you know how coaches need to win games to keep their job. If he wins this game, he might lose his job. But I honestly, I had it at 3. It's down to 2.5 everywhere now. At this point, if you're looking for a little fun sweat here in a meaningless game for both, well, not meaningless for Houston, but take that Houston money line, sprinkle a little something on that Houston money line, and watch them just disintegrate all of their chances of getting the #1 pick by beating the lifeless Colts team with Sam Ehlinger at the helm.
I think it's typical Houston, man. This is right. It is Houston Texans football to go out and win this game by 30 points.
It's also not easy to just throw games unless you did what the Eagles did, you know.
Well, you have to start Nathan Peterman. That's exactly how you throw football.
Like you have to actively throw the game because the players aren't just going to not play.
No, they're going to play for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, like the players aren't actively invested in throwing a game themselves. Like Brandon Cooks isn't intentionally going to drop a touchdown.
No,
it doesn't work that way. Yeah.
I mean,
I bet
I'll stick with the theme of like, there's 3, 4, 5 games where good luck figuring out what the hell's going on. Denver is a team that I have ripped on the entire year, but I've also said that I thought most of their problems were coach related. I know Russell Wilson's been far from good. I'm not going to defend him. And maybe it's just the Chiefs. Maybe they have something against the Chiefs where they look better. I thought the offense looked once again better, and now they're to close.
Wilson ran a bit too.
He did. He scored, I believe, twice on the ground. I want to say. Yeah. They're at home here against the Chargers. They're favorites, which shows you at kind of where these teams are at for this type of game. It doesn't mean anything long term, but I think Denver's going to play. They were better at home to begin with. Denver closes the season with a nice little performance here. It means nothing long term. But just given where they are, I actually expect them to look better in week 18 than the majority of the year.
So
go ahead.
No, go ahead. No. I was just going to add a little shander to the end of that there. That's all.
Okay, let me before you do that, let me add a little something as well. Tell me this Broncos defense is not uniquely equipped to face an offense like the Chargers.
I like the matchup. That's a really good point.
Yeah, they are the run funnel defense. And the Chargers pass at the second highest, almost 70%.
They refuse to run the football.
They refuse to run the football. Right. We saw this matchup earlier in the season where it was a horrible game, and it took the Chargers in overtime. And again, horrible play calling and decision making by Nathaniel Hackett for the Chargers to eke out a win at home. So yeah, I mean, if you got the Broncos at getting a field goal, that would have been awesome. But yeah, I like them better now. And of course, this move. Am I wrong to say we're assuming this move because Lamar Jackson still isn't practicing?
He's out.
Right?
Yeah. I'm operating under the assumption that the Chargers are not,
Yes, me too.
Yeah, Lamar's not playing. Right. Absolutely. And look, all I'll add to this is when you see a coach get fired, and we saw this in Carolina, but the closer you get to the end of the season, the better I think the more this applies. But when you see a coach get fired week 16, week 17, there's time still left on the season. This team, specifically if like Denver, where there is talent on defense, the team will do everything humanly possible to continue to prove the point that it ain't me. It's the guy you fired. See, it ain't me. It's the guy you fired. And that goes with even a major player who may get cut or what have you. But I think there's still this fight in Denver. So I'm with you on that. Look, I'm going to leave you on this note here because it's also a nice little combo here for the Discord, because we've hit this bet 9 straight times. And I'd say 8 straight prime times. We also threw it in on a heat check with that Lions-Bears game last week. We've hit 10 of 11. We've hit 13 of 16. This is all each team to kick 1 field goal in the first half. And we're playing these on night games. So prime time just means night. If the sun is down when they're kicking off, play this bet. And I'll leave you with one small thing. It doesn't always hit, but it's a nice little correlation as well. And you can find this bet on DraftKings. Will the game be tied after 0-0? You mostly get this at plus money, like plus 105, plus 110, every now and again, even money. But it's a nice little correlation with low totals and spreads that are less than 3. That's all. You knew I wasn't going to come with some regular shit.
I was going to say, fired yourself out of a cannon. And now here we are up in orbit. I love it, man. I love it. Closing out the week, This has been a fun show, boys. I've had a great time doing this all year.
Are we done? Like we're going to the playoffs and stuff, right?
I know. I'm just saying, this is the regular season. No, I would assume we're going to go into the playoffs. Yeah.
Well, you're management. So you guys are you could make a decision and I wouldn't know about it until tomorrow. So I'm just making sure that you haven't canceled the show on us.
No.
We'll see how the people respond to your Chiefs situation this week.
I stand corrected. All right, we appreciate
Eytan goes, hey, the league is rigged. We'll see you next week.
Look, I'm trying to make you money off of a rigged league. That's all. I'm not saying don't bet. Keep firing out there.
Let's make some money. No, I know what you're saying. I'm just joking.
All right. At Lofty_D, at JazzRazDFS, at Shander Show for me. We do appreciate it. We made a lot out of a wacky week 18. Thanks to Chris for putting up with us and putting us out there. Thanks to you all out there. A reminder, click the link below, $5 into $200 in free bets at DraftKings. All you need to do is take 90 seconds out of your life, click a link, sign up, deposit $5, bet that $5 on the Titans money line, $200 in free bets right away. You don't even need to wait for that game to start, and you're going to have that free bankroll. We'll see you all next week. For Ben, for Dave, for Chris, have a great week.